in the news today, you have been totally clear about your opposition to vaccine nationalism, vaccine protectionism. But if British lives were at risk, do you rule out taking measured and proportionate retaliation to discourage the EU from impeding legally binding contracts for our vaccines?
Jeremy, thank you very much for the question, and you're right to follow this issue as closely as you are. The partnership we have with our European colleagues is very, very important. We continue to work with them. Vaccines, as you know, are the product of international cooperation. I don't think that blockades of either vaccines or of medicines, of ingredients for vaccines are sensible. And I think that the long-term damage done by blockades can be very considerable. I would just gently point out to anybody considering a blockade or an interruption of supply chains that companies may look at such actions and draw conclusions about whether or not it is sensible to make future investments in countries where arbitrary blockades are imposed.
But what's clear is that although you wish our European friends well, you're not taking anything off the table in terms of a British response to decisions this week.
Our priority is to continue the vaccine rollout, to vaccinate the British people. We'll do everything necessary that we can to ensure that happens. We are on course to vaccinate groups 1 to 9, JCVI groups 1 to 9 by April the 15th. Everybody over 50. And I don't know whether you've had one yet, Jeremy.
I had my jab.
You've had it.
Yes.
You're much younger. There you go.
Yes. I still got the virus, but 3 days afterwards, so the immunity hadn't set in.
You got the virus 3 days after the jab.
Yeah, very bad luck it was. But
I'm very sorry to hear that.
I'm very pleased. The jab probably made the symptoms much less. I want to move on.
Do you believe that the COVID vaccine certification for domestic use is compatible with a free society such as ours?
I do think that the basic concept of vaccine certification should not be totally alien to us, because after all, when you have when you're entrusted with care of a patient, and you say you're a surgeon, you're expected to have a vaccination against hepatitis B. The principle is there. This is a particularly contagious disease. It can be very nasty indeed. We've seen what happened in care homes, as we were discussing earlier. It doesn't seem to me to be irresponsible at all for far from it. It's wholly responsible for care home companies to think of requiring vaccination.
You mentioned surgeons and the care sector. That's very different to the ordinary citizen going to the pub. So do you recognise that distinction for COVID vaccine certification?
I think that's the kind of thing that it may be up to individual publicans. It may be up to the landlord.
I'm interested to know because in politics at the moment there's a great deal of time for thought and thinking. So I'm thinking to perhaps your previous Daily Telegraph comes. I'm not going to quote from them, don't worry. But I'm wondering if the Prime Minister in those years, they're all excellent and highly recommended. But I cannot imagine in a past life you writing about being in support of a COVID vaccine certification to go to the pub.
Well, you'll appreciate, Will, that there are other members of your committee, distinguished members such as Yvette, who take a passionately opposing view about the need for tougher measures, and I find myself in this long national conversation thinking very, very deeply about it, and I think the public have been thinking very deeply about it. And my impression is that there is a huge wisdom in the public's feeling about this, and human beings, instinctively recognise when something is dangerous and nasty to them, and they can see that COVID is collectively a threat, and they want us as their government and me as the Prime Minister to take all the actions I can to protect them, and that's what I've been doing for the last year or more.